When you open your heart to a man too quickly, when you place the full weight of your emotions in his hands before he's earned the right to carry them, you strip yourself of something that should be revealed carefully, almost like turning the pages of a book that deserves to be read slowly. Too many women make the mistake of unloading every thought, every feeling, every fear, every wound at the very beginning of a connection. They believe that by being fully transparent, they are creating intimacy. But in truth, what often happens is that they rob themselves of mystery and invite a man to feel as though he has already conquered the essence of who they are. And when something feels conquered too quickly, it loses its value in the eyes of many. This isn't about being manipulative or dishonest. It's about recognizing the profound truth that human beings respect what they must earn. If a man steps into your life and within days feels that he knows everything about you, your darkest moments, your deepest dreams, your every insecurity, then he has nothing left to discover. And discovery is what keeps a man intrigued, what makes him attentive, what compels him to lean in and try to understand the layers that unfold over time. The unfolding is what creates meaning. Think of it this way. When you meet someone for the first time, they don't hand you the ending of a story before you've read the first chapter. A novel that gives away its climax at the beginning robs the reader of the journey. In the same way, if you reveal every corner of your emotional world before a man has even built the capacity to hold it, you deny both of you the beauty of growth. Because intimacy is not about an instant download of information. Intimacy is built through patience, through trust, through small steps that gradually allow another person to enter the sacred space of your heart. A woman's emotions are powerful. They can inspire, they can challenge, they can shape the direction of a man's life. But they are also fragile, and if placed in careless hands too soon, they can be dismissed or taken advantage of. When you guard the depth of your emotions, you're not closing yourself off. You're protecting what is most valuable until it's clear that the man before you is capable of honoring it. You're saying, in effect, I am not afraid to feel deeply, but you must show me that you are worthy of knowing just how deeply I feel. And this isn't just for him, it's for you. Because when you withhold the full flood of emotion at the beginning, you give yourself space to observe. You get to see how he behaves when you're not constantly affirming him with your openness, when you're not giving him the fuel of your vulnerability. You learn who he really is when he's not being handed all of your soul on a silver platter. You can ask yourself, does he respect my silence? Does he lean in when I haven't yet revealed everything? Does he pursue the heart that I'm guarding, or does he retreat because it wasn't given freely? These answers reveal more about him than any confession of your feelings ever could. There's also dignity in restraint. When you choose to reveal parts of yourself slowly, when you allow your emotions to unfold like a sunrise instead of exploding like fireworks, you teach a man to value the moments in between. You teach him that love, that intimacy, that connection are not instant gratifications. They are built step by step, through patience and respect. You set the rhythm, and in doing so, you train him to rise to your tempo instead of dragging yourself down to his. So never mistake withholding for weakness. It is, in fact, a sign of strength. It shows that you are self-aware, that you know your emotions are precious, and that you refuse to squander them on someone who has not proven they deserve them. And when the time comes to reveal those depths, when you finally choose to let him see the storms and the still waters of your inner world, it will mean something. It will carry weight, because it wasn't given cheaply. It was earned. Restraint is not about denying love, it is about elevating it. Because love revealed too quickly often dies just as fast, but love revealed gradually, carefully, to the right man. Now that kind of love has the strength to endure. Guard your depths until they are truly honored, because what is sacred must never be given away without measure. There is something profoundly attractive about a woman who is independent, who can stand on her own 2 feet, who can provide for herself, think for herself, and make her own way in the world. Yet there is also a delicate balance that must be maintained, because when you show the full extent of that independence too soon, you risk unsettling the very dynamic that allows a man to step into his own sense of purpose in the relationship. Independence is essential, but it doesn't always need to be put on display in its entirety. A man does not fall in love with a woman because she needs him for survival. Those days are long gone. He falls in love with her because she brings out the best in him, because she allows him to contribute something meaningful to her life. If you place all of your independence on the table from the beginning, if you show him loudly and without hesitation that you can do everything without him, you rob him of that deep and ancient desire to serve, to protect, to provide in some way, however small. It is not that you must hide your strength or pretend to be weak, but rather that you should not flaunt your independence in such a way that he feels unnecessary. A man who feels unnecessary will eventually become absent. Think of it in terms of dance. A dance only works if both people have a role. If you step into every part, if you refuse to allow space for his steps, then the dance collapses. The beauty of a relationship is in the interplay, in the give and take, in the moments when your strength shines, and in the moments when you allow his to step forward. Independence must be held in balance, shown in glimpses but not weaponized as proof that you can do everything on your own. This isn't about dependence, it's about interdependence. True power lies in knowing that you don't need a man, yet choosing to let him in, choosing to let him add to your life even when you are fully capable without him. That choice gives the relationship depth, but when you reveal the full scale of your independence too quickly, the choice disappears. He begins to feel as though his presence is irrelevant, and in time he withdraws, because men are driven by a sense of purpose. They long to be useful, to feel that they bring something to the table that matters. If you signal to him that nothing he does will ever be needed, he will question why he is there at all. A woman's independence should be like the strength of a tree, solid, unwavering, deeply rooted, but not something that demands constant proclamation. You don't see a tree shouting about its roots. It simply stands firm, and those who come near can feel its strength without needing to be told. In the same way, your independence should be evident, but not declared in every moment. Show it through your composure, through your decisions, through the life you've built, but hold back the need to remind him that you can live without him. He should feel it, but he should also feel that there is room for him to contribute to your world. There is wisdom in knowing when to reveal strength and when to soften. If you let a man see every corner of your independence at once, you close the door on mystery, on discovery, on his journey of realizing who you truly are. But if you allow him to witness it slowly, piece by piece, he will respect you all the more for it, because he will see that beneath your openness lies a reservoir of capability that is not flaunted, but quietly carried. And that quiet strength is far more powerful than anything announced. The truth is, a woman's independence is not diminished by what she withholds, it is magnified. For when you do not need a man but still choose to welcome him into your life, you create the deepest form of respect, one built not on desperation, but on dignity. Independence that is quietly guarded commands more reverence than independence that is loudly declared. And the woman who understands this truth will always remain a mystery worth pursuing. There is something sacred about a person's deepest dreams. They are not just goals written on paper, or ambitions you casually share over coffee. They are the very fabric of your soul's vision, the map that quietly directs your steps even when no one else understands why you are moving the way you do. And for a woman, protecting these dreams is not only wise, it is essential, because not every man is capable of hearing your deepest plans and handling them with the reverence they deserve. Some will dismiss them, some will misunderstand them, and some, out of insecurity, will try to diminish them so that they do not feel overshadowed. That is why your ultimate dreams are not something to be laid bare at the first sign of intimacy. They are treasures, and treasures are not meant to be handed to those who have not proven they can guard them. When you reveal your full vision too soon, you invite the risk of contamination. A careless word from him, a subtle expression of doubt, or even a mocking laugh can plant seeds in your mind that begin to erode your belief in yourself. A woman's dreams are delicate in their early stages, much like seedlings that need careful nurturing. If you expose them to harsh conditions before they are ready, they wither, and if you reveal them to someone who cannot see their value, you risk internalizing their lack of faith. Before long, you begin to question whether those dreams were ever possible in the first place. That is why silence in the beginning is strength. But this is not only about protection from harm, it is also about maintaining power. Mystery has always been one of the greatest tools of attraction. When a man knows that you carry something within you that he cannot fully name, a vision that drives you yet remains partially hidden, it draws him in. He becomes curious, he begins to lean forward, he wonders what it is that lights a fire in you, and that curiosity, that pursuit, is part of what keeps the dynamic alive. If you hand over everything at once, your 5-year plan, your deepest calling, your highest ambition, you strip the relationship of discovery. You give away the ending before he has even earned the right to read the beginning. There is also something to be said about timing. A man must first show you who he is before he can be entrusted with where you are going. He must prove not only that he respects your present, but that he is capable of supporting your future. Too many women fall into the trap of imagining a shared life with a man before he has demonstrated that he has the maturity, discipline, and vision to walk alongside them. Dreams are not decorations to be displayed, they are foundations. And if you build a foundation with someone who cannot carry weight, the entire structure collapses. Guarding your ultimate dreams does not mean hiding forever. It means waiting until you have discerned his character. Until you have seen whether he encourages growth, whether he celebrates your victories rather than competing with them, whether he can admire your ambition without feeling threatened. Only then can your dreams be safely revealed, piece by piece, in a way that strengthens the bond rather than weakens it. There is a kind of dignity in restraint. When you protect your vision, when you keep certain plans tucked away in the privacy of your heart, you remind yourself that not everything is meant to be shared. Some things are too sacred for careless ears. Some things must be nurtured in silence until they are strong enough to stand on their own. And when the time comes to reveal them, when you finally speak those dreams aloud to the man who has proven worthy, they will carry the weight of destiny. They will not be just words spoken in passing. They will be a covenant. So guard your dreams, guard your future plans, as you would guard your very life. Because in many ways, that's what they are. They are the compass that keeps you moving forward, and no one should be allowed to hold that compass until they have shown you they can walk the path with honor. Sacrifice is at the heart of love. It is the quiet giving of your time, your energy, your care, sometimes even your dreams, for the sake of another. A woman often sacrifices far more than she ever admits, because that is the nature of her heart. She nurtures, she protects, she pours herself into the lives of those she loves. But here lies the danger. When you reveal every sacrifice you've made for a man, when you point to each cost, each moment you gave up something of yourself, you run the risk of cheapening both sacrifice and the relationship, for sacrifice only carries its full power when it is given freely, without demand for recognition. Once you announce it, once you keep tally, it loses its sacredness and becomes a transaction. The truth is, men often become blind to what is too readily presented. If you constantly remind him of what you've given up, if you hold it over him like a debt he must repay, he may begin to feel resentful rather than grateful. Entitlement often grows from overexposure. When sacrifice is displayed too openly, it ceases to inspire respect and instead breeds complacency. He begins to assume that giving is simply what you do, that it will never stop, and that he never has to rise to meet you in return. But when some sacrifices remain hidden, when he senses that you've quietly borne weight for his sake without drawing attention to it, respect grows, gratitude grows. He begins to realize, perhaps not immediately but eventually, that there is more to you than he has yet seen. And that realization is what compels a man to step up, to give back, to honor what he has been given. There is also wisdom in mystery. If you show a man every act of sacrifice, you leave nothing for him to discover. But if you hold back, if you let certain efforts remain unseen, you create an atmosphere where he begins to question, to reflect, to wonder at the depth of your commitment. That wondering leads to awe, and awe is what keeps love alive. When a man feels that his partner gives more than she ever reveals, he is confronted with humility. It forces him to ask himself whether he is doing enough, whether he is worthy of what he has been given. That quiet challenge inspires growth far more effectively than any spoken reminder could. This does not mean you should allow yourself to be taken advantage of, nor does it mean you should silently bleed for someone who does not notice or care. Boundaries are essential, but within the context of a healthy relationship, it means understanding that not every sacrifice needs to be spoken aloud. Some things are better left unsaid because their power lies in silence. A gift loses its purity when you demand credit for it. A sacrifice loses its beauty when you present it as a weapon. By keeping parts of it concealed, you preserve the sacredness of the act and protect your dignity in the process. And here is the paradox. The less you boast of your sacrifices, the more they will eventually be felt. The less you reveal, the greater their weight becomes over time, because true sacrifice does not need an audience. It speaks for itself in the atmosphere it creates, in the stability it offers, in the quiet sense of being loved without condition. When a man realizes that his partner has been carrying more than she has ever confessed, it shakes him. It humbles him, and that humility is the seed of transformation. So let some of your sacrifices remain in the shadows. Allow them to be unseen, untouched, unspoken, because when sacrifice is hidden, it retains its nobility. And a noble sacrifice, carried in silence, carries a power far greater than words could ever hold. The past is a strange thing. It shapes us, molds us, leaves its fingerprints on our hearts and minds. Yet it does not define the entirety of who we are. Every person carries a history, moments of joy, moments of shame, mistakes they regret, victories they're proud of, wounds that still ache quietly in the dark. For a woman, the question is not whether she has a past, because everyone does, but whether she should reveal it in its entirety to a man. And the truth is, she shouldn't. Not because she has anything to be ashamed of, but because her past is not a debt to be repaid, nor a burden to be unloaded at another's feet. It is a sacred archive, and not every page deserves to be read aloud. When you expose your entire past to a man, every failure, every heartbreak, every poor decision, you hand him a lens through which he may choose to judge you, even if only unconsciously. Human beings are not perfectly rational. A man may love you deeply in the present, yet still allow fragments of what you've told him about your past to color the way he sees you. He might say he understands, that he accepts, but memory is powerful, and once spoken, certain details cannot be unsaid. That is why wisdom lies in discernment, choosing carefully what to reveal and what to keep guarded. It's not about lying, it's about protecting the dignity of your journey. Not everyone is entitled to know where you've stumbled, because those stumbles are not the full truth of who you are. What matters most is how you've risen, how you've grown, how you stand now in the present. To hand over every scar, every wound, is to risk being defined by the very things you've already overcome. And no woman should ever allow her worth to be measured by the ghosts of her history. There is also something profoundly attractive about mystery. When you hold back parts of your story, when you do not feel the need to explain every chapter of your life, you maintain an aura of strength. You remind him that he is not entitled to everything simply because he desires it. He must earn the right to know more, and even then, he will never know it all. That is not deception. It is sovereignty. Your past belongs to you. It is yours to share in fragments, not his to demand in full. Too much honesty too soon is not intimacy. It is self-sabotage. True intimacy is built gradually through trust, through earned vulnerability, through a bond that grows strong enough to hold the weight of deeper truth. A man who deserves to walk beside you will not need every detail of your past. He will be more concerned with the woman standing before him now. He will care about your values, your vision, the direction of your life, not the shadows you've already walked through. If a man insists on knowing everything, if he demands the full story as proof of your honesty, that is not love. That is control. And control is always a red flag. The man who loves rightly does not dig through your history like a prosecutor searching for evidence. He respects what you choose to share, and he accepts that there are chapters you keep closed because they are no longer relevant to the life you are building. In the end, the past is both teacher and test. It teaches you who you are, and it tests whether you will allow it to define you. But never forget, you are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not the echoes of yesterday. You are the choices you make today and the vision you hold for tomorrow. Protect your past, not out of shame, but out of wisdom, because a woman who guards her history guards her power. And the woman who refuses to be chained to what she has already overcome is the woman who walks forward free. Boundaries are not rules you shout into the world. They are quiet lines you draw within yourself, and you enforce them not by explaining them endlessly, but by living them. A woman who understands the power of her boundaries doesn't need to announce them to every man she meets. She doesn't need to say, "I won't tolerate this," or "I expect that." She simply moves through life with a presence that makes clear what she will and will not allow. And that presence carries more force than any lecture ever could. When you reveal every detail of your boundaries too soon, you give away the architecture of your strength. You tell a man exactly where the walls are, exactly how far he can push, exactly how much he can test. And once he knows, some men will use that knowledge to press against you, to see if you really mean what you say. But when the power of your boundaries remains hidden, when you enforce them with action rather than explanation, you leave no cracks to exploit. You leave no invitation for debate. You simply show through consistency what is acceptable and what is not. This quiet strength is magnetic. A woman who enforces her standards without shouting about them creates an aura of dignity. A man feels it without needing to be told. He notices that she doesn't linger where she's disrespected, that she doesn't beg for attention when it's withheld, that she doesn't tolerate carelessness disguised as love. He begins to realize that she carries herself with an invisible shield, and that shield is made of self-respect. And self-respect is irresistible. It's not that boundaries should never be spoken. They have their place in words when necessary, but the deepest power lies in how you live them out. If you say you value honesty, but tolerate lies, your words are meaningless. If you say you want respect, but remain in the presence of someone who demeans you, your boundaries collapse. A hidden boundary is not about secrecy, it is about authenticity. It's about embodying your standards so fully that you never need to advertise them. They are evident in the way you walk away from what diminishes you, in the way you protect your time, in the way you choose peace over chaos. There's a subtle mystery in this approach, too. When a man doesn't fully know the limits of your tolerance, he is left to assume that they are stronger than he can see. He doesn't know exactly where the line is, so he becomes cautious. He becomes more intentional, more respectful, more attentive, because he cannot afford to test what he cannot clearly measure. This uncertainty works in your favor, because it compels him to rise to the highest standard rather than risk crossing a line he cannot see. The woman who hides the power of her boundaries is not weak. She is untouchable. She does not argue for her worth. She does not plead for respect. She acts, and through her actions, she teaches others how to treat her. And in this quiet authority, she commands far more than the one who spends her time demanding, because boundaries shouted are boundaries doubted, but boundaries lived are boundaries unshakable. What this creates is not distance, but true connection. A relationship built on enforced boundaries is a relationship where love is not tainted by manipulation, where respect is not begged for but freely given. The man who remains in such a relationship understands that he is with a woman who knows who she is, who will never allow herself to be diminished, and who does not need to prove her strength, because she embodies it. And that is the essence of power, not in declaration, but in demonstration. A woman who hides the power of her boundaries does not just protect herself, she elevates the entire dynamic of her relationships. Because she shows that respect is not a request, it is a requirement, and the man who recognizes that truth will never dare to give her anything less. At the heart of everything we've explored lies a simple truth. What is hidden often carries more power than what is revealed. A woman does not need to expose every emotion, flaunt her independence, hand over her dreams, announce her sacrifices, confess her past, or advertise her boundaries to be respected, loved, and cherished. In fact, it is the very act of guarding these sacred parts of herself that preserves her mystery, her dignity, and her strength. A man may be drawn to beauty, he may be captivated by charm, but what holds his attention, what keeps him invested and committed, is the sense that there is more to discover, that he has not yet reached the depths of who you are, and that depth must be revealed slowly, intentionally, to the one who proves himself worthy of it. So never be afraid to withhold what is precious, never feel guilty for protecting what is sacred. Because the woman who knows how to guard herself wisely is the woman who commands respect without demanding it, who inspires devotion without chasing it, and who is loved not for what she gives away too freely, but for what she treasures and chooses to share in time. In the end, the greatest strength of a woman is not found in what she reveals, but in what she has the courage to keep hidden until the right man has earned the right to see it.